What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of BS. Now that I'm done with the predictions, we can go back to our regular schedule program. So let's get into it. All right, our first topic of the day. I don't know if anyone's noticed this but me, but Aaron Rodgers, he's gonna have the same problem as Tom Brady did last year. Think about it. Tom Brady, he is on decline. Don't get me wrong, he is on decline, but he really didn't have that many great receivers. I mean, he had AB for 1 week, and even that game he was just playing okay. But in the end, he really had developmental type of receivers, and then he also had Mohamed Sanu, who played like crap, and then he had Julian Edelman, who had a banged up. I think he had a banged up knee. I just looked at the report. Yeah, he had a banged up knee, which kind of limited him a little bit. And defenses double covered him because they know all the other receivers weren't that great. They were all in the middle of developmental. And Tom Brady, it was also a little bit Tom Brady's fault too because he didn't give N'Keal Harry that much of a chance, which he should have, because he's a rookie and you need to give him those reps. You need to throw it to him so he can learn how to overcome the double coverage. You guys, I think Bill Belichick specifically wanted to do a little bit of a rebuilding year, and Tom Brady wanted to go for another Super Bowl. So maybe he'll win it in Tampa Bay. Maybe he won't. But that's basically what Tom Brady's issue was last year. Coming into this year, it's kind of the same thing because the Packers head coach wants to do the same thing that Bill Belichick did kind of last year. He wants to go into a rebuilding phase. He wants to eventually, I guess, get all new receivers. And Matt LaFleur, he's a running back type of offensive coach. He likes implementing the run game more than the throwing game, which is just wasting Aaron Rodgers' talent. Because Aaron Rodgers, he has a lot left in the tank, and he has no one. He really does, except Devontae Adams, but he gets injured time to time. But other than him, he really has no one. None of his other receivers make worse mistakes than the Patriots receivers did. You could say the Packers receiving core is the worst in the NFL. Yeah, I would say it's the worst. I mean, even the Bengals receiving core is better than whatever the hell the Packers receiving core is. They got Devontae Adams and then a bunch of crappy guys who either do the wrong route, they can't break from the defensive player, or they can't even catch the ball, which is, come on. Catch the ball. Maybe they can go for a cheap option with Michael Crabtree or someone else that's in free agency. Maybe get someone out of retirement like Brandon Marshall. Who knows? But this is not good. And I feel so bad for Aaron Rodgers because he has a lot left in the tank. To be honest, maybe Tampa Bay should have went for a trade for Aaron Rodgers instead of Tom Brady. Because to be honest, Aaron Rodgers got another 6 years left in him. Seriously. Honestly, they're just wasting his talents in Green Bay, and he deserves to go somewhere else. And Tom Brady with the Patriots situation. It's similar but worse in a lot of ways. Tom Brady, he's 43, probably has 2 years left. Aaron Rodgers has at least 6 years left, and I hope he requests for a trade. And they drafted Jordan Love too. So I mean, obviously they want to move on from him, and maybe they just want him to suck. I don't know, but they're really not helping him out by having basically no one besides Devontae Adams. It's gonna be the same situation coming into next year that the Patriots did. Patriots only had Julian Edelman, and he was double covered. Coming into next year, Packers only have Devontae Adams, and he's probably gonna be double covered like insane. So other than that, you got no one. I mean, I guess they're going to rely a lot on Aaron Jones, the running back, and their other running back that they just drafted. That's great. But once again, you're just wasting Aaron Rodgers' time. I mean, if you're going to mainly run the ball, get a quarterback that's not so elite. I mean, no doubt he's already going to go into the Hall of Fame. No doubt. But, I mean, you got Aaron Rodgers. Use him properly. Seriously. And I think they're not ready to. I don't think they're gunning for a Super Bowl right now. The Packers because they know they had an extremely easy schedule. Like, by far the easiest schedule of all last year. I mean, the Packers went 13-3, and they lost. The 3 teams that they lost to were really crappy. I mean, they lost to the Eagles, which they were falling apart. You know what I mean? So, Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be even worse for Aaron Rodgers coming into next year. It's a shame. I mean, all I can see happening is he requests for a trade because obviously they're not planning on winning a Super Bowl next year, and I would like to see Aaron Rodgers get another ring. I really would. And I would like to see something like a new scenery for Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean? So he's going to have the same problem that Tom Brady did, and people are going to say Aaron Rodgers is in decline when he's really not. I mean, he's declined like a tiny bit. But it's not to the point where Tom Brady is at. Tom Brady's declined, not extremely, but I mean, you could tell that his arm talent isn't as strong as he used to be. Before he gets hit, he like hesitates. So Aaron Rodgers has like no help besides Devontae Adams. Offensive line is okay. You got the greatest left tackle in the whole NFL, but that's about it. Everyone else is pretty either good to mediocre to eh. So I just feel bad. I really do. I hope he requests for a trade. So all in all, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, they're gonna have Aaron Rodgers is gonna have a similar year to Tom Brady did last year, but possibly even worse because at least Tom Brady had mediocre receivers. Aaron Rodgers has bad receivers. They're all bad except Devontae Adams. It's really bad. All right, and some good news here. Disney World, you hear me right? I'm talking about Disney World on the sports podcast. Disney World welcomes the NBA players to stay there. Yeah, so basically, the NBA players of the NBA are gonna have to live at Disney World for when the NBA season comes back. I think they're coming back soon. They haven't really specified which date. I don't know. I want to see LeBron and the Lakers go to the playoffs. I want to see them play. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I hear that some players might actually not play. I have a source that actually works in Disney World, and he kind of explained a little bit to me. Like they're gonna basically be quarantined. So after quarantine's over, they're gonna have to be in quarantine so they don't catch the coronavirus. I don't know if these players want to be away from their families so long. You know what I mean? Like that's a long time. Like during the NBA season and stuff. I know you're getting paid millions and millions of dollars, but I don't know. It's like my source. He's not really a source. He's making it seem like I have a secret source. No, he works at Disney World, and he kind of told me the details on what's going on and what he was told. So basically, they're gonna have restrictions. They can't leave. So they're gonna basically be in prison. They can't leave. They can only do certain things there. They're gonna be in the hotels, and it's gonna be only during the NBA season. And they only can leave for when they go to games. He was saying, I don't know, but they're also the part of the deal. Anybody that's Disney fans, I guess, or Marvel fans like myself, apparently they're gonna be screening movies and Marvel movies and stuff to the NBA players and to her. I don't really know exactly. Apparently they're going to be screening like Black Widow, the Marvel movie, The Eternals, another Marvel movie. They're going to be doing like early screenings for the stuff before they go to movie theaters. Now, I don't know if the NBA players' families or friends are allowed to come with them to when they go to Disney World for when they're quarantined, pretty much. I'm not really sure, but I am sure that they are doing early screenings for this stuff. So if anyone's like a Disney fan and you know someone that's in the NBA, hit them up and ask them, hey, bring me to Disney World. You know what I mean? I would love to go to Disney World for like about 3 months during the NBA season. Like, sounds like fun for them. Even though the NBA players are rebelling, apparently they're like a couple of them tweeted like, "I don't want to be restricted. You're not going to imprison me. I don't want to be in prison to play basketball." So it sounds like some NBA players might not be going to Disney World. So to be with their other teammates. So I don't really know. I kind of want to see LeBron go to Disney World so he can play. I want to see him with the Lakers, So, yeah, it's just some interesting news. It's kind of good news because the NBA is going to come back. And maybe I'll review some of the games. We'll see, So, yeah, so that's kind of good news, at least. But bad news, actually, there's a little bit bad news to that because NBA players might not actually go to Disneyland or Disney World. Whatever, I don't know the difference. Why are there two Disney World? I don't know. But, yeah, so it's kind of good news. And the NBA season's going to come back soon. And, yeah, all in all, good news. So, moving on. Moving on to our next topic. I'm seeing a lot of articles, news reporters, journalists. They're speaking to the NFL about one specific player who they think should be a starter, and that man is Cam Newton. And I'm going to set the record straight here. Cam Newton is not a good player anymore. He hasn't been good, or he hasn't been great since his MVP season. Last year he was awful. Look at his highlights and his tape. It's not good at all. Like, seriously, his attitude is too much. I'm sorry, Cam Newton fans. I can't stand him. I haven't been able to stand him. I haven't been able to stand him since the way he reacted to losing the Super Bowl. He was like, stupid interviews and stuff. Oh my gosh, I'm getting paid millions and millions of dollars, and I'm acting like the world's gonna end. I can't stand Cam Newton. Just as a leader, you don't want that kind of BS, no pun intended, in your locker room. You really don't. I can't stand him at all. Like, seriously. I can't stand the way he plays, the way he acts, the way he treats his teammates sometimes, and the way he treated the Panthers organization when he left. It was just awful. It was disrespectful. He's calling the team that drafted him out. He's calling them out. He's not even a starting caliber quarterback anymore. And you can't even have him as your backup because if he's your backup, he's going to get injured in 2 seconds. You can't even have him as your backup. He should just retire, call it a quote-unquote good career, according to all these people. I'm just like, you're seeing what I'm seeing, right? He threw one really horrible interception last year before he got injured. Are these people seeing what I'm seeing? I mean, I don't know if they're biased or something. I don't. What do they see in Cam Newton? He's fast. There's better play. I would say even Tyrod Taylor is a better option than Cam Newton. He gets injured less frequent. He's faster, and I don't want to say he's a better thrower of the football, but he has a better attitude. His attitude is worse than Odell Beckham. I haven't seen any maturity. He's been like, seriously. I don't know. I don't know. I don't like his attitude. I don't know why NFL teams are thinking about him. Because you can't have him as a backup, and you can't have him. He's not good enough to be a starter. People think he's still good enough to be a starter. He really isn't. He's really not anymore. He's not even as fast as he used to be. His arm is okay. He gets injured every little second of the day. He's not a starting quarterback anymore. He's not better than Tyrod Taylor. He's not better than Justin Herbert. So stop making the Chargers even as an option. Tyrod Taylor doesn't get injured as fast, and he's a better locker room leader and a locker room presence. So stop tying Cam Newton with the Chargers. I'm seeing that everywhere. I'm also seeing him as possibly going to the Bengals to compete with Joe Burrow, who they just drafted. They say Joe Burrow needs to sit out a year. Joe Burrow was the best college quarterback I've ever seen in my life. Don't say it was the system at all. Don't say it was the system. The coaching made him better. The coaching made him better because he put the time and effort to be better. So stop saying that he's a systematic quarterback. Now, who is a systematic quarterback is Tua. He really is. I mean, Joe Burrow made one of the toughest throws, like NFL elite throws. He really did. In like the tightest situations. That you don't learn that from systematic quarterbacking. You don't. You can't really coach someone to throw something that close to the receiver. You got the defensive player and you got the receiver right here. This is the receiver. This is the defensive player. They're like this close. And the ball comes in. This is the receiver. Right over for the receiver to catch. Wide, right into the hands. Right into the hands. You can't coach that to get that pinpoint accuracy. You just can't. So I don't know why people are saying they need Joe Burrow to sit out of the year. He doesn't even have injury problems. So why do you want Joe Burrow to sit out of the year and replace him with the crappy quarterback Cam Newton? I'm not sure if he's a nice guy. Maybe he's a nice guy, but he's not a good football player anymore, and he doesn't have a good attitude when he's on the field or off the field in the locker room. I can't. I wouldn't be able to follow. I would have to request for a trade. If I was a receiver for Cam Newton, I would have to request for a trade because I just can't respect the guy who acts like that in a locker room. I don't. Cam Newton fans, come after me. I'm ready. I'm serious. Like, what do you see in him? Explain to me so I can see what you see. Because what I hear and see on the field, I can't. I don't see it. I don't see him as a good locker room presence. I just don't. Please explain to me in the comments, Cam Newton fans. What do you see in him that makes him in your top 10 list? It was one MVP season. Great. You can win an MVP one year and stink another one. I just don't understand what people see in Cam Newton. He won rookie. He was also pretty good in his rookie year too. But ever since his MVP season, he hasn't been the same. I'm sorry. And NFL reporters, stop putting this fake news out there for everyone to see so they can do petitions. I've seen a petition to get Cam Newton on the team. No. Just look at the film from last year. It was crap. Look at his attitude problems from the past. It's crap. He's crap. Unless you can convince me in the comments below that he's good. Convince me. Because to be honest, like, where could he really go? And and another one I heard, Leonard Fournette, the Jaguars running back. He said he thinks Cam Newton is better than Gardner Minshew. So let's bring in a guy that's controversial, has bad attitude problem, and gets injured all the time. And let's replace him with a guy that has a good locker room presence, a good attitude, a funny guy, and that stays healthy all the time. Let's replace the guy that stays healthy with the guy that doesn't stay healthy. That makes a lot of sense. Leonard Fournette, what are you talking about? The teammates they rallied with Gardner Minshew last year. And you want to just ruin that? I see why the Jaguars are not going to re-sign you. Because they were in the middle of negotiations until Leonard Fournette said that stupid comment. It's a shame. People are just stupid sometimes. I don't want to say they're stupid. People are too biased when it comes to Cam Newton. Please, Cam Newton's fans, explain to me in the comments below. Let's move on. All in all, I don't see why he should be a starting quarterback. He's horrible. That's my final word on that. All right. Moving on to some Eagles news. This is actually part of an Eagles topic. Here. So our next topic, Eagles topic. We're going to have this discussion once and for all. I thought about it. I've had friends that talk to me about it and try to explain to me why they would have drafted Jalen Hurts. And what's the goal? I've seen what Doug Peterson was saying. I've seen what Howie Roseman was saying about it. And what I've got from all the discussions I've had is he's not going to be the starting quarterback of the future. He really isn't. Carson Wentz is the guy, but Jalen Hurts can also be the guy as well. I'm from what I've gotten is they're going to have 2 starting quarterbacks. I don't see what the problem is with that. If they can make this work, then sure. My problem is that they needed other players that were more important, like cornerbacks. They really needed a cornerback or drafted another receiver or drafted a linebacker. I don't think quarterback should have been in the second round when there were so many more issues. Maybe they're waiting until next year in the draft. I don't know, but I just don't understand why they drafted a quarterback. But Jalen Hurts, he can be a Lamar Jackson type of quarterback. They can do what they did with Lamar Jackson with Jalen Hurts, but also have Carson Wentz to be the main throwing guy. Because they don't want Carson Wentz running out of the pocket. Because anytime he gets out of that pocket and moving forward, like on the run, he ends up getting injured in some sort of way. 2017, tore his ACL. 2018, I think he ran and spun around and he broke rib cage, and I think he really messed up his back. 2019, moving forward, even though it was a penalty, 2019 in the Seahawks playoff game, Carson Wentz ran out of the pocket, ran forward, Jadeveon Clowney slammed his head into the ground, got a concussion. All these injuries happened outside of the pocket. So they obviously saw a pattern there. But the Eagles do really good when they have a quarterback that runs outside the pocket to get to the first down. And obviously they're going to figure out what they're doing, but maybe they can like have some sort of strategic way of having Jalen Hurts being the quarterback, Carson Wentz being the quarterback that throws. And they can always, what's it called? They can always mix things up. I don't know why I forgot the word mix. They can always mix things up. Like when the defense are really not expecting Carson Wentz to run, he runs. But as long as there's wide open space. As long as there's wide open space, Carson Wentz can run. And when they're expecting Jalen Hurts to run, he ends up throwing the ball. Because he's not a bad thrower. He's not really good at deep ball. And I don't see Jalen Hurts being a starting caliber quarterback. But he's a much better runner than Taysom Hill. He's not as good as Lamar Jackson, but he's nearly as fast. So, I mean, I do see it. I see it now. I'm not criticizing them no longer. Eagles fans, I hear your pain and struggles with Jalen Hurts being drafted in the second round, and I agree with you. That is way too early. That was way too early. But having Jalen Hurts there might be a really good thing. I don't think they should have drafted in the second round. Maybe pick up Tyler Huntley, who's an undrafted quarterback free agent. I think he's better than Jalen Hurts, but it's too late for that now. Jalen Hurts, we gotta live with it, and I see it. I really see it now. What's the problem with having 2 starting quarterbacks? Carson Wentz obviously has gone through so much adversity with Nick Foles being there and then getting injured year after year after year. I believe in Carson Wentz. I kind of believe what the Eagles are doing. I see it if they're doing that. If Jalen Hurts ends up not starting at all the year, coming into next year, then I'm going to be really worried because I'm going to be like, are they really planning on replacing Carson Wentz with Jalen Hurts? Which I don't think they're doing. I really don't, because you can't extend a guy for 4 years and pay him so much money, and he's shown you time and time again that he can be a elite type. He has the potential to be a really elite quarterback. You can't pay him so much money and just end up drafting a guy in the second round. Like they guaranteed him money too, so they're gonna have to end up paying him no matter what, even if he leaves the Eagles. And they're gonna be a big penalty if they release him. So I really see them hitting a Super Bowl, not next year, but in 2021, when everyone's contract is right on the line, because that's when everyone's contract is nearly up. You got Jason Kelce being up in 2021. You got Ertz being up in 2021. All these guys are up in 2021. Now, if they have Jalen Hurts get some reps and have him learn the quarterback position more and like have him be a better quarterback, then we can have Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz side by side in 2021. And defense, they're going to confuse the hell out of defenses. Is Carson Wentz throwing? Is he going to run? He's going to throw 50 yards at D-Jax. What about Jalen Hurts? Is he running? Nope. Psych. He's going to do play action pass. Maybe do a Patrick Mahomes to a receiver. I mean, like, seriously, there's so much potential with having Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz both starting. Now, I'm not saying they're starting at the same time. I don't want to. Now I'm hearing it sounds like they're going to start exactly at the same time. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying for like one play, you have Carson Wentz in, and then the next play you can have Jalen Hurts in, because they need a quarterback that can run, but they need a quarterback that can also throw the ball really good and throw like 90 yards. So they can have both of them starters. They can consider both of them as a starter. So they can both be the guy. That sounds brilliant in my opinion. If the Eagles are really planning on doing that, it's absolutely brilliant. I am all in for that. But I am not all in for is replacing Jalen Hurts with Carson Wentz. If that really is their plan. I'm not in for that. I'm not at all. But I am in for having Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz substituting each play. Like, is Jalen Hurts going to run? Or is he going to throw? And defenses are so confused to the point, like, what's going on? And then you got, imagine D-Jax, Marquise Goodwin, two fastest players in the NFL. Imagine them, like, they got to cover those guys who are extremely fast at the same time worrying about, is Jalen Hurts going to run or is he going to throw? And then at the same time, same thing with Carson Wentz. Because Carson Wentz can run, but they would prefer him not to run. But if it's like a wide open space, and yeah, like absolutely no defensive players around, he could run. He could do like a play action whip around where he does play action pass and then just whips around and runs for like 40 yards, you know, because defenses will go to that side where the running back is. If they really trick the defense, he can just whip around and just run for like 40 yards. I've seen Carson Wentz do that before. You know what I mean? So this is, now that I think about it, it really sounds brilliant. Because I've discussed it with many people on this topic. And I've seen the interviews with Howie Roseman and Doug Peterson. And I'm all in for it. That's what they really sound like they're going to do. So Eagles fans, be ready. I mean, don't stop criticizing the Eagles. Like, yes, they should have never drafted Jalen Hurts in the second round. But if this is their plan, we're going to go to the Super Bowl next year and possibly win. Because there's no way defenses are going to figure out in the span of the whole NFL season what Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz are going to do. They're really not. Like, it would have to take at least like a year to figure out how to stop that. It's like with Lamar Jackson last year. Defenses are going to learn this year coming up how to stop Lamar Jackson, but last year they couldn't really figure it out. Now the plan is to get really fast linebackers. That's the plan, to stop Lamar Jackson and and have really good linebackers that can move really fast and tackle really good. That's what the Titans did. So if the Titans can figure it out, all NFL teams are going to figure that out, and that's how to stop Lamar Jackson. But that whole year, no NFL team could really figure it out. So I really see a lot of potential with Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz, both being starting quarterbacks. But here's the thing also, Jalen Hurts is replaceable, Carson Wentz is not. So that's why Carson Wentz is the guy. That's why they specifically said Carson Wentz is the guy, but you can always find a player, not always, but there's other quarterbacks that are like Jalen Hurts that they could always find. That's why they're specifically saying Carson Wentz is the guy. And I'm all in for this. If this is their plan, I am all in. So Eagles fans, Eagles critics, stop criticizing them for the Jalen Hurts pick, because it's absolutely 100% brilliant if they do it this way. If they don't, then criticize them whatever the hell you want to, you know. So all in all, Jalen Hurts, Carson Wentz both starting at the same time. I see it. It could be brilliant. Moving on. All right, moving on. We're moving on to the news. I got another 4 news segments, like I had 4 topics, because I haven't done these in such a long time. So, in some news, Jamal Adams, the strong safety for the New York Jets, has requested a trade. He's requested a trade 7, possibly 8 teams. The one possible team is the Buccaneers. The other definite teams he wants to go to are the Ravens, the Cowboys, the Texans, the Chiefs, the Eagles, the 49ers, and the Seattle Seahawks. Now, he's requested a trade before, or they've, I think, offered him as a player to other teams. Is he worth it? Because I think they're requesting to have, I think, a first-round pick for him and a bunch of other picks. Now, I hope the Eagles don't get him, because I think we're perfect with Jalen Mills and Will Parks. I think they're perfect strong safeties for the Eagles. And I don't see them sacrificing a first-round pick and any of our picks. I hope to God we don't trade away any of our picks, because we need them. We really do. Eagles fans, we really need those picks. I mean, we're lacking in depth in the linebacker position. I hope we draft a linebacker coming into next year, at least in the first round. First round is really extreme, but out of all these teams, the one possible I see him going to the Buccaneers. Even though that's a possibility, he's like, yeah, I could possibly go to the Buccaneers. I honestly see him going to the Buccaneers. I mean, I feel like going into next year, the Buccaneers would need to draft a strong safety. They would. And why not just trade for one? Why not sacrifice that first-round pick if you're just going to get him next year? Keep in mind, he's only 24 years old, and he's made it to 2 Pro Bowls. He's played at Hall of Fame caliber levels. He had a great rookie season, had a good season last year. Well, he had a good season last year. He's really at borderline elite. Like, he has so much elite potential. He has so many years to come. I just don't see giving up a first-round pick. Some of these teams, I don't really see giving up so much for him, and you don't know if he's really going to fit into your system. Because the Jets are asking for a crazy amount for him. And a better question, why do the Jets want to get rid of him? I guess for draft capital. But, I mean, you have a future Hall of Famer on your team. He's dedicated to you, and you want to get rid of him? Like, obviously, Jamal Adams has talked about this, and he feels extremely hurt. He really does. And I kind of feel bad for the guy, because he's still on his rookie, I believe he's still on his rookie contract from 2017. He had a pretty good year, 2017, 18, 19. So I just don't understand why they want to get rid of him. If hardcore Jets fans, if you see the trade, tell me in the comments below. I just honestly, I don't get it. I kind of don't get it. He's dedicated to the Jets. I say just keep him. I believe they drafted a safety, the Jets, in the draft. I believe they did to replace Jamal Adams. I think that's how he feels. I just keep him. Just keep him on your roster, or at least let that rookie deal go down. You know what I mean? So, all in all, I don't see any team really sacrificing so much to get him. Maybe the Buccaneers. Other than that, I don't see any other team really sacrificing. Like, the Chiefs got good talent on their roster for safeties. They got Tyrann Mathieu, and they got the rookie that they drafted last season. So I don't see the Ravens. They got Earl Thomas. They have another great strong safety on the side. Cowboys, Jerry Jones is not going to go all out for him. Actually, he's crazy enough, so maybe. Texans, Bill O'Brien is a real stubborn person, so I don't see him going there. And I don't think the Eagles should, because we're good with Will Parks and Jalen Mills. We got Rodney McLeod as our free safety. And I just don't want them to sacrifice so much to get a player who could possibly fit into their system. So, the Chiefs, 49ers, they're stacked on defense. And Seahawks, once again, they got all solid players. I just don't see any of these teams possibly going out for Jamal Adams. I really don't. There's a possibility with the Buccaneers, but other than that, I don't see it. So, is he worth it? No. Just stick with the Jets. Maybe possibility with the Buccaneers. All right. Moving on to our next set of news. Dalvin Cook, the Minnesota Vikings running back. He is holding out for a new contract. Now, recently, in the past years, players that have gone for contract, holding out for their contract have failed miserably. Just look at Le'Veon Bell. He just wasted a whole year partying, and now he's with a crappier team with less money. Look at Melvin Gordon. Didn't even play I think he played half of the year last year. And it was horrible when he came back. Austin Eckler was a better running back than him, and he got not even close to the money that he originally wanted. There's another player too, Ezekiel Elliott. He did hold out. He did get the money, but they're talking about possibly releasing him now. So, I mean, look at all these players holding out, and then it's like the new trend to do. It's not a new trend. I mean, I've seen Emmitt Smith has done it. There's a bunch of players that have done it in the past. But typically, you don't want to do that to your team when you're such a prominent player to that franchise. I think the players should stop doing it. I know it's been a thing for a while. Players need to get their pay, but you're bringing down your teammates, and I think they should stop because they don't end up getting the money. It's like a 50-50 shot. Am I going to get the money, or am I going to play at the money standards? I think the only person I can really remember being great at the contract holdout afterwards is Emmitt Smith. He won an MVP in his holdout season, but just stop doing it. Just stop doing it. Please. Just stop doing it. I know it's not my right to say, but most of the time it don't end up panning out. So if Dalvin Cook is going to do this, you got to keep this in mind. He's not healthy. He hasn't been healthy for a lot of seasons. He might not fit into your scheme, your system, because he's kind of like a systematic running back, because he follows a specific play for where the offensive linemen go. So he's kind of a systematic running back. And is he going to be good for holding out? And with all this coronavirus going on, it's just going to make things 10 times more complicated. So Dalvin Cook, I don't suggest you doing this, because you're either going to go to a new team and you're not going to play that great, or you're going to go to a new team and not get paid nearly what you've been asking that the team offered you. Because probably what's going to happen is he's going to hold out for the whole season on a specific amount of money. Then when he gets signed, it's less amount of money and a crappier team. That's probably what's going to happen with Dalvin Cook, and I don't want to see that happen to a guy that has a lot of years left in the system. I don't recommend for any other players to do this, because time after time it really doesn't end up panning out. Like, sometimes it does, but most of the time it doesn't. Like, biggest example is Emmitt Smith, won MVP, but I mean, it's not going to work out all the time. And this also goes for Dak Prescott too. If once you get your contract extended, or you get your big payday, your teammates aren't going to respect you the same. I'm specifically talking about Dak Prescott now. Maybe this is considered another topic, because Dak Prescott has, as everyone knows, he got franchise tagged and he's threatening not to play. He wants to be paid $40 million. Dak Prescott, $40 million, most of any other quarterback in the whole NFL. The highest paid quarterback right now is Russell Wilson at 35. Are you telling me Dak Prescott? I know the cap salary is going up. I understand that. But Dak Prescott is nowhere near Russell Wilson. He's in a whole other category. Patrick Mahomes is probably going to be paid 45, at most 50. So you tell me Dak Prescott and Patrick Mahomes are in the same ball range? No, not at all. Dak Prescott, Teddy Bridgewater got signed for $20 million. Teddy Bridgewater got signed for $20 million to a 3-year deal, and he's better than Dak Prescott. And Dak Prescott wants to be signed $40 million. Teddy Bridgewater doesn't need as much talent as Dak Prescott needs. Dak Prescott needs a ton of talent to win games. He needs Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and who's the guy that they just drafted? CeeDee Lamb. He needs players like that to win games. When Carson Wentz had all practice squad players, and beat his team. I'm not a Cowboys fan. Like I don't hate. I hate the Cowboys. Really dislike the Cowboys, but I'm a podcaster, so I have to be optimistic about every team. And if I was a Cowboys fan, I wouldn't even want him as my quarterback. I'm sure he's a good guy, and I don't know if it's his agent that's doing all this, but man, like, you've lost all the respect from all your teammates. Like, they've gone on Twitter and they've said, like, this is disappointing because you're such a great leader and you want to destroy the Cowboys' cap salary. So I guess this is kind of like a discussion for two players here, but stop doing contract holdouts. 50% of the time they end up, or actually 70% of the time they end up failing. So just look at Le'Veon Bell, look at Melvin Gordon, the most recent example. Just don't do it. Stop it. It's not going to go well for you. And especially for Dalvin Cook, who's a systematic running back. So all in all, that's all I got to say. So, all right. Moving on to our third set of news. This is another Eagles topic. Man, just been a lot of Eagles news recently, you know? So, unfortunately, this is not good news. Fortunately, Brandon Brooks has been put on IR for tearing his Achilles. This is like his second time, and he has to recover from dislocating his shoulder now and a torn Achilles. Oh man, I feel so bad for him. That's like Andrew Luck injuries. He could possibly retire because of so much injuries at this point. So many injuries. Yeah, but the main discussion here is who is going to be his replacement. Like, honestly, he's not going to come back. This is going to be another injury where he's gone for the year. I think he was gone for the year in 2018. Yeah, I think he was gone in 2018 for tearing his Achilles, like he's doing now. I just feel bad for the guy. I mean, I know he has to overcome so much adversity. He's been injured so many times. He has anxiety issues, which he's discussed, and it's really inspirational. He's a really inspirational person. Like, honestly, I just feel so bad for him. Tearing his Achilles, he has to recover from an Achilles right now and a dislocated shoulder. Like, that's tough, man. That's real tough. He's so inspirational. And he's come back at Pro Bowl levels every single time, every single injury. Like, that's so admirable. I just hope he comes back even stronger like he's done in the past. So, it's a sad day, but a new beginning for possible players, specifically Matt Pryor. It's one possible option. I see he's like the main guy I see, and that's the main guy that everyone's talking about. The backup guard right now, who played in the Seahawks playoff game, who played actually pretty good. Altogether, I see 5 guys who could possibly replace Brandon Brooks for this upcoming NFL season. Man, I hope he comes back stronger. I hope he's healthy state of mind. Hope he's okay. But we're going to have to talk about the possible replacements for him. Brandon Brooks, hope you're doing well. Hope you recover from your dislocated shoulder and from your torn Achilles. That's a lot, man. Man, you got tough skin, man. But 5 replacements I possibly see. Matt Pryor, the backup Eagles right guard right now. Larry Warford, who's the old Saints right guard that's currently in free agency. Jason Peters, our guy, who right now is still in free agency. He's waiting to hear a call from the Eagles. He wants to play left tackle, but he's going to have to possibly play right guard. Mike Pearson, an 8-year vet, who's an 8-year vet who was on the 49ers last year, helped them go all the way to the Super Bowl, played pretty good. It was average, but we can possibly get him on a cheap deal. And then recently retired right guard, brother of Chris Long, Kyle Long, who's Pro Bowler, absolutely. He's the best out of all of them, but the problem is, can we convince him to come out of retirement? So who really knows? But let's start out with the first guy. I kind of talked about him already. Matt Pryor. I really like him. He's 6'7". We drafted him in the second round, or in the 6th round. Came out of TCU. I mean, I really like the guy. I liked how much he held up during that Seahawks playoff game. It was incredible. And if he could play like that for a really unexperienced player, then why can we not have him for the whole year? He's 6'7", so he's pretty big. He's kind of like a Brandon Brooks clone, and I actually really see him replacing Brandon Brooks in the near future. In the preseason, he's held his guard. He's held really strong. I say give him a chance, but I just don't know how great he can be for multiple games, because that's just one game. And I know it's like one of the most important games of the whole year. You could even consider it to be the most important games of the year. That's the playoffs. So he held his guard. He was pretty strong. He had some tough opponents to protect Carson Wentz with. I don't know how well he can be for multiple games. That's the only concern. He was a 6th round pick for a reason, so he still has a couple of mistakes. But the coaching staff has helped him time and time again for the past 3 years since he's been drafted in 2018. Past 2 years, sorry. So I see Matt Pryor as an option, but he still needs some work, and he's nowhere near Brandon Brooks' level. He's a solid guard for the NFL. Like, he's just a solid guy, but he has the potential to be a starter. He kind of reminds me of Vaitai, the guy that just went to the Lions, who could play multiple offensive lineman positions. So maybe he could be that guy for the Eagles moving forward, or he could just be Brandon Brooks' replacement for the future, because he's really young. He's 25 years old, and he has a lot of years left. I mean, obviously he has a lot of years left in him, like at least 8 years he could be in the NFL. So the question is he a good replacement? If he is the replacement, and he's going to be really good if he ends up being the replacement, but our offensive line will not be elite going into next year, because it's been elite like almost every year in the Doug Peterson era. In the Doug Peterson era, the offensive line has been elite every year. But going into next year, you're going to have Andre Dillard as the left tackle, who really knows how great he's going to really be. Then we had the Eagles left guard. We got Isaac Seumalo. Then center, Jason Kelsey, always elite. Brandon Brooks is elite, but we're not going to have him next year, so who knows? If Matt Pryor is there, I mean, the guards are going to be pretty weak, and then you're going to have a possible left tackle who knows how strong he's going to really be going into next year. And you got Lane Johnson, who's elite, obviously. So I don't know how. Obviously, we're not going to be elite if Matt Pryor is going to be there for the first time in a long time. So honestly, I do like Matt Pryor as an option, but keep in mind our offensive line will not be elite as him as our right guard. So you got a guy we can develop him now to be the future replacement for Brandon Brooks, but at the same time, your offensive line is not going to be elite anymore, at least for this year, for the first time in a long time. So Matt Pryor, he's kind of a risky option, but I feel like it could play off for the long. It could pay off in the long run. So I do still see that as an option, though. So don't discredit Matt Pryor just yet. Our second guy, Larry Warford. He's declining. He's 28. It was with the Saints. He has declined like almost every year, but the Saints' offensive line was one of the best last year, and he was one of the reasons for that. So he's held his ground. He's proven time and time again he can still be good. He could be a solid right guard. He's pretty good, but he's declining, and who knows how he's going to be going into next year. He could either be really great, be like about the same that he was last year, or he can just get worse and be a mess. or possibly injuries could come upon him. So who really knows how great Larry Warford could be? But when he's been in his prime, he's been really strong. But maybe it's a change of scenery that he needs to be really great again? Who really knows? So, bottom line, can he be as great as he was in the past? And will he decline even more when he comes to the Eagles? So that's my biggest concern with Larry Warford. Other than that, I see him as a real possibility. Not my number one option. I think out of all these guys, he's my last option. One of my last options. So I don't know. It's a risky one once again, but he can hold his guard up, so I could see the Eagles possibly going for him. I just don't know how expensive he will really be. But if the Eagles want a cheaper option, the Eagles could go for a guy like Mike Pearson for a cheaper option. Mike Pearson was the right guard for the 49ers last year. He was pretty solid. So he was pretty solid for what they were doing, because they did a lot of play action where they just bunched the offensive lineman to block the defensive lineman. So it was basically 4 guys versus all of them. So Mike Pearson, he's a cheaper option, 8-year vet. He's proven himself to be pretty good. It's just he's kind of old now, and could he be declining even more? Because he used to be pretty good, now he's declining over time. And I just don't know. It's a good cheaper option for, maybe you could give him and Matt Pryor kind of like a battle for the right guard. I would see if they want to really have competition in the right guard position for Matt Pryor to go up against, I say Mike Pearson. I really do. He's solid. He has his issues. He's not great with the run and just like regular solid pass protecting. But he's a cheaper option. He's not the worst. So if the Eagles want to go for a cheaper option, Mike Pearson is their guy. But he's not that great, though. He's not elite like Brandon Brooks is. Matt Pryor has the potential to be elite, but for right now, he's not either. So I see Mike Pearson and Matt Pryor going for competition in the right guard position. And now the next guy, former Eagle Jason Peters, 37 years old. I mean, he's up there in age. I just feel like bringing back Jason Peters is greater temptation to put him at the left tackle position. So I don't know if Jason Peters, if they should really bring him back, because I feel like Andre Dillard, I don't know how great he would be. But that's why this is such a big blow for Brandon Brooks to go out right now, because if they wanted Andre Dillard to be the guy at left tackle, this is the perfect chance, because you're loaded with an okay left guard, an elite center, an elite right guard, an elite right tackle. They could just have the left side be a little bit of a weakness for Carson Wentz. But now that Brandon Brooks is gone, we don't really know how great all these guys together could really be. So I don't know. I really don't know. And just having Jason Peters there it's just greater temptation to put him as a left tackle just to replace Andre Dillard. You know what I mean? And he was okay as a left tackle. He was awful as a right tackle. Whoever made that coaching decision, probably Mike Rowe, he got fired. So thank God. So I just don't. I would say Jason Peters is the last guy to pick up. So I hope they don't pick up Jason Peters, because then it's just more. It would give the Eagles coaching staff a temptation to put him at left tackle, and I just don't want to see that for Andre Dillard. He needs those reps. He needs time to develop to be an elite left tackle. So I would say that would be like the last option for the Eagles. Now, my number one option my number one option would be Kyle Long. Now, this one's a long shot because he's retired, and the Eagles have done it before. They've gotten players out of retirement, most recently Josh McCown. So could they do it again for Kyle Long? I mean, his brother Chris Long played for us for 2 years, right? Yeah, 2 years, and he loved it here. We have the Eagles coaching staff has the Eagles locker room and coaching staff. They kind of have like a family underdog mentality, and I feel like Kyle Long would be perfect in their locker room. And he's the best option out of all of them. He's just retired right now. He did get injured. He has a little bit of injury history, but we have that depth for Matt Pryor. I think it's worth it. If they want the Eagles' offensive line to stay elite, they should go for Kyle Long. Offer him the money for at least like a 2-year deal, because I actually really like Kyle Long. I like him as the brother of Chris Long. Great Bears right guard for the Bears for a long time. And I like his attitude. I like everything about him. He has the Eagles attitude already. Just welcome him into the locker room. You know? He's my number one option. I just hope the Eagles can convince him to come out of retirement. That's just the biggest long shot, is to get him out of retirement to play for us. So I just don't know. I hope they do, because Kyle Long is my number one guy. But if they can't get him, then I say my number two guy would probably be Matt Pryor. I know he's a little bit of a risk, but they can develop him to be the long-term answer for Brandon Brooks for once he retires. All right. So all in all, the Brandon Brooks loss is such a big blow for the Eagles right now. But we'll see We'll see what happens. I honestly think they should go for Kyle Long. And if they can't go for him, just stick with Matt Pryor. And if they really are scared, then go for Mike Pearson. He's cheap, and he's a little bit of competition for Matt Pryor. So that's honestly what I think the Eagles should do. And hope Brandon Brooks recovers and comes back stronger than ever. All right, moving on to our last news of the day. Josh Gordon. Man, this guy's history is crazy. Let me tell you. Who knows what's going to happen with Josh Gordon? But he recently has reapplied for reinstatement for. He has recently applied for reinstatement to come back to the NFL. So, should an NFL team sign him once he reinstates back into the NFL? Because he's eligible to apply. He has applied. And honestly, it's such a shame. The Josh Gordon story, it's so sad. This player, he plays like an elite receiver, but he has bust level everything, like NFL bust level, like stats, the amount of games he's played. All of this is from being suspended multiple times. When he's not suspended, he has 1,000-yard seasons. When he's suspended, it's like it's going back all over again. We're redoing the thing. I'll eventually grow to be better every season. Like, he hasn't played a full season, I think, since 2014. Suspended for all of 2015. Like, his suspension level, it's all from like a drug addiction too. Drug addiction. Apparently, he's done like hardcore drugs. Like, apparently, he's partied with Johnny Manziel on hardcore drugs. So it's a shame that he's been suspended again. He smoked some marijuana because his brother died, I think, a little while back. Then right after that, he apparently did some marijuana. That's what they were saying, and that's why he got suspended again. It's such a shame. I hope he's healthy. I feel like he needs to stay sober and stay healthy for when he comes back to the NFL. Like, anymore. What I'm trying to get at is Josh Gordon should be physically and mentally healthy for him to come back to the NFL. And I hope he does. I hope he gets healthy. If not, just retire and have a happy life. You've won the Super Bowl. You've earned millions and millions of dollars without even playing because you've been suspended. But I mean, you've earned everything you really need to as an NFL player. The biggest step would be the Hall of Fame, but come back to the NFL when you're physically and mentally healthy, and I hope that happens as soon as possible. But it's a process, so take as much time as you need. I know you've lost your brother. That's a big blow to lose your brother, and yeah. So, all in all, I don't think he should even be reapplying to reinstate until he's mentally and physically healthy. But if he does end up reinstating and does end up becoming active again, because I've recently found out about his brother dying and I didn't even know that. That's such a shame. But when you reapply, I would say any NFL team that should pick him up, I think it should be the Eagles. We're the most healthiest locker room. So I say this Josh Gordon, if he does end up reinstating, then he should sign with the Eagles because we always need that wide receiver depth. So, all right. Today's Friday. Hopefully this posts on Friday. Fridays we have a segment called What If. So let's get started with What If. Alright, on this episode of What If, the question is, what if the Seattle Seahawks ran the ball during Super Bowl 49 near the end of the play? What if they ran with Marshawn Lynch instead of throwing with Russell Wilson and not ended up throwing an interception to Malcolm Butler? So, if no one really knows what happened, I think it was like a third down situation, I believe. They had the opportunity to run the ball with beast mode, and instead they ended up throwing the ball with Russell Wilson, and he ended up throwing an interception to Malcolm Butler. And the only good thing that came out of that was Malcolm Butler's career. So what would have happened? Malcolm Butler would probably not be so famous, and the Seahawks would have ended up losing anyway. Because if you saw that whole season, Marshawn Lynch didn't really convert on third and fourth downs. He wasn't that great on third and fourth downs through that whole season. So in theory, it makes sense. But he did convert some of them throughout the regular NFL season. So what would have ended up happening? I think they would have ended up losing anyway. I don't think they would have ended up scoring a touchdown, and the Patriots would have won again. So that's a possibility. But bottom line, Malcolm Butler, if they decide to run the ball, Malcolm Butler would have never became as famous as he did. Like, he's iconic. He's in NFL history. He's in the record books for that most iconic play. Like, it was insane. But yeah, but he would have never had such a big career that he does now if that play would have never happened. So, all in all, in today's What If episode, what if Marshawn Lynch ran the ball? What would have ended up happening was Malcolm Butler would have never became famous, and the Seahawks would have lost the Super Bowl anyway. So Patriots would have won. All right, that's all we have for today. Hope you enjoyed watching. I have nothing else to say. All right, I'll see you on the next one.